Yep.
All right.
Every time. What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Dope and Tape Show. I tried to spread the word about this part two as much as I can, and I hope that some people saw it and came. They're going to come and hang out with us and ask questions. We're again, Joshua Fender from fitter to business owner. He's came to hang out with us. And Tuesday, when we first had him on, it flew by and we had so much fun. So I wish like every episode was like that, and that this episode, I got my son. Say hello to
Hi.
Pledge, everybody.
Pledge. All right.
Say hello, Pledge. Say hello to everybody else.
Hi, I'm Pledge.
Weirdo. What's up, everybody? I'm Bobby. Thank you for having me. Please hit the like button on your way in, and if you don't hit on the way in, please hit it on the way out. Happy to be here. I'm still so they updated my soundboard. The soundboard that I've been using for 100 and some odd episodes, not all 170. We didn't start the soundboard till about episode 80 or something. And let's where did we leave off? What were we talking about when we left off? What's up, Florencio? Thanks for joining us. Mine? Good?
Yeah.
Why? How am I looking? How am I looking, Flo? Well, maybe I was talking too quick for the computer.
It's saying that yours is bandwidth is low.
Oh Jesus! All right, hold on.
So Josh, what we got is we both have we both do hotspots because
Oh, this baby's
hotel
cranking.
Wi-Fi is super unreliable.
This
Yeah,
baby says
yes,
it's
very much.
It says it's cranking. I got
Yeah?
a couple. I got a couple tricks. Do you still hear me or no?
Yeah,
I
yeah.
hear you.
All right. How am I looking, Flo? How we sounding? Yo, what up, Tommy? Damn, I haven't seen Tommy in a long time. Tommy Howard, how you doing? I didn't know if you got admitted to the
That's
psych
fine.
ward. I didn't know if they admitted you to that psych ward or what, dude.
She's like, you gotta stay.
You gotta stay. It's pretty cool having the kid there, but he kind of makes you look average size.
Yeah, you're a little tiny.
He's a big boy.
You're a little tiny. He says.
Definitely bigger than I was in high school. Definitely
Florencio,
bigger than I
we
was.
sound good? We sound bad? Holla back. We got two people in here, Tommy and Flo. All right, I'm gonna take it away, Brian. I'm gonna tell Discord.
All right, cool. So last time, I think we ended up talking about a flood story that was kind of wild with all the foam and everything. I think as far as your story goes, we really scratched the surface. I mean, we got into where you finished up your apprenticeship and then you became a fitter. When you became a fitter, what kind of jobs were you working on? Were you still in new construction or were you moving into service? I think you mentioned you did some service too.
Yeah, I was doing service by the time I turned out. I did new construction for most of my apprenticeship, but then also got into service during my apprenticeship, and then yeah, I did some TIs and a lot of inspections and repairs, and I quickly got to be the person that got sent out when people couldn't figure out, or people. I mean, I still get phone calls from people from. I even get phone calls from people in Canada that when there's stuff they can't figure out, that they'll ask me or run stuff past
Yeah.
me. Because troubleshooting is kind of always, I don't know, I enjoy it.
Yeah. Do you do any shoot fire alarm?
I do.
Anybody refresh if it's freezing up for you. Hit the refresh
do.
button. It seems good on my saying that it's good over here.
Yeah, I actually got. I mean, I was always sprinkler focused, but I recently got nice at two for fire alarms also. Well, fire alarms and special hazards as well as sprinklers. But yeah, I kind of self-taught myself alarms and then kind of figured out that a lot of times I knew more than the alarm guys about the alarms and would help them, and have to hold their hand to teach them stuff. There's a lot of I found a lot of times the guys that the ones that aren't as good are the ones that come from like security or cameras or something and then try to think they get put right into fire alarms without that fire alarm background, and so there's those differences between with it that are required in fire alarm that aren't required in some of the other ones, and so um, yeah, like when I
Yeah. What about troubleshooting? Is it about the same or is it different? Because you kind of need to like follow the line and see where it's crimped or water hit it or something.
well, I tell people electrical and plumbing are actually a lot more alike than people think because a wire is just a pipe, a valve is just a switch. There's a lot of similarities, and so if you're able to, unless if you stop thinking about it as strictly like, oh, this is fire, this you can start seeing the similarities, and yeah, it's
Yeah.
definitely different, but it's not like if you can understand one, you should be able to understand the other. But a lot of people never try or never get in a situation where they really need to, kind of thing.
Yeah.
A lot of people want
So
to
how long
remain.
were
A lot of
you?
people. I noticed that not everybody wants to be a leader or take the responsibility or have any of that. They want to be what I call a neck down, and that's not a bad thing. We need them. We need people that just want to show up and be hands or whatever. But that was just never for me. I always was just thinking like I remember being just a young apprentice, just like wanting to just mimic everything the foreman was doing, just
Yeah,
looking at every
there's
move.
the not my job people. It's like the memes where you see the paint line going over the dead animal on the side of the road, but it's kind of that, it's yeah, they're good at their job, and that's all they want to deal with is their job. And they don't want to. No, like you said, there's nothing wrong with it. It's
We need
just
them.
I've never.
Society needs those
Yeah,
people, but we also need leaders. So step up. Everybody needs to also try to step up, be a leader.
yeah.
Or said we're better now. We're better now. We might have had a little lag spike in the beginning, but everybody says we're good now. So if you're just joining
Okay.
us, we are on part 2 of episode 176. This is now 177, where we were just having a great talk. So we're keeping it going. If you got any questions, fire them off. I got them in the background. I can see them.
So
Brian's got his big brother with him.
can you
We get
believe
called
it?
that a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's funny because we move the same. Like the way I move, he moves, and then we have the same laugh. The same one.
It makes sense. It makes sense.
Yeah. So
Father like
it's
son.
Genetic.
genetics are strong. Strong.
I feel if I've learned more about myself from my son than anything.
Mhm.
You start seeing them do stuff or stuff, and you're like, oh yeah, I guess I did that too, or you know,
Yeah.
Yeah, that is
mistakes
cool.
that yeah,
And then he catches himself doing things that I get on to him about or I do. And he's like, dad does this.
Yeah. Yeah, I've done that a couple times.
yeah. I
Have it.
tell my son, I'll say, you're just like your dad. It's so annoying.
You're just like your dad. How old's your son, Josh?
He's uh 18.
18. Is he
Okay.
gonna be in the industry?
Nah, I doubt it.
Okay.
He's more of a computer. He
Okay.
does help with stuff, but he's more into
There's
computers
a
and
lot of money in computers.
A lot of money.
A lot of money. Man, so Sarah, so my wife, she's an attorney, but she has a legal tech consulting company. And she's looking at hire people. And then she was looking kind of like an entry level person. And she found a couple of entry level people in the tech side of just 2 years of experience. And their rates are starting at $50 an hour. Bro, the most money I've ever made as an inspector ever top and it was like a big deal for me to get it was like $40 an hour.
right.
That was after 12 years, 13 years of work.
Dragging hose
And then this,
monsters and hoses and
yeah, dude, just 2 years of clicking on a computer and it's $50 an hour starting.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Wow. Okay.
So
Florencio's going off with some stuff. He wants some explanations. Please describe complex or challenging NFPA 25 ITM projects your company has successfully completed. You too, Brian. I think he's talking to you two guys.
Ooh, what, NFPA 25.
Challenging NFPA 25.
Very challenging.
Tommy. So Tommy Howd said, Brian, did Mercedes-Benz Stadium? If
So
I
in the
had my, I go
beginning,
doo chung if I had my soundboard.
the first year of Dope and Tape, I was like really heavy on it, and then I would keep telling the same story because I'm like talking to a new person, but the people who are coming to follow us and be a part of the show has heard it 100 times.
Yeah.
So then everybody was like, "Okay, Brian, enough, move
Enough.
on."
Mercedes-Benz Stadium. I filmed it from the air one time when I was flying into Atlanta. I'm like, oh, I know the guy that did inspections there. All right, so we
But
want to talk about describe the most challenging and complex ITM projects your company has successfully completed.
So that I'll go first. So Mercedes-Benz Stadium was not complex. It was installed pretty well. It was easy to get to. All the valves were new. I was the first out of the initial acceptance test to do the inspection. So I did find a lot. But it was pretty simple. Everything except for one dry valve worked and worked properly. Um, I did a tire factory, like a giant tire factory.
Oh, what's
And
up,
that
Carlos?
was,
I didn't see you.
oh no, I got one. I got one. And what?
What about the apartments when you had to like nag
Oh,
everybody to get
yeah,
into the room?
that's
Wouldn't that be the hardest? Because you got to deal with
no,
everybody trying to get.
Anheuser-Busch, the beer factory. That was a lot. That was a lot.
Why?
And it was just me. It would send just me and then another one guy to, you had to have someone watching the pump, and then they were FM Global, so then we were flowing waters with the pump. But yeah, it was just me, and I had to like make sure everything's there. I was building the report. That was complicated. And then you also have hospitals. You never know when a system starts and stops, and they add a wall and they take out a wall. Those are always difficult to do inspections. What about you, Josh?
Um, yeah, I mean, I've done a lot of the one that was, and again, it was one of the first times I'd done a 5 year, um, and it was that airplane hangar, and so all those foam systems, and the company I worked at they didn't really even want to do service and inspections. Um, it was actually when Grinnell went non-union back in the '90s that the guy they were two superintendents there. They went to this company and pushed them to do service, so they were kind of always, you know, not really up on it or wanting to deal with it. But so I get sent out to do a 5 year at this airplane hangar with all these foam systems and stuff, and I wanted to make sure I'd done 5 years and stuff before, but nothing. It was just on like a wet system and a dry system, or maybe a little standpipe. And so I'm digging through the NFPA 25, making sure that I'm doing everything the way. Well, first of all, it started out because Portland, they would call them 3C tests, and I heard that a lot, and I wanted to know what it actually meant, because it was always 5 years, and so I actually still have so C 3C. It's section 3C of the Universal Fire Code. And all it actually says is it's one line, and it says all testing will be done according to NFPA 25. But they Portland, like, they had it on their reports and everything, and that's what they considered a 5 year. And I thought, well, that's not. I started it, and so I figured out that you have to do proportioner tests. On the foam systems, you actually have to flow foam through the proportioners. And so going to the company and saying, hey, I need to flow these foam systems. We need to, and the head designer was just like kept arguing. He's like,
Yeah, okay.
and they kept asking me like, well, who's making you do that? And I'm like, well, you told me to do a 5 year. Yep, you got to do a 5 year. I'm like, okay, then we need to flow the foam. But who's making you flow the foam? I was like, well, you are. They kept going back around, and I'm like, I said, tell me what you want me to do then. Well, you need to do a 5 year. Everything that's required for a 5 year. I'm like, okay, I need to flow the foam. And so, but so like it was these big open heads and trying to figure out. And so what we ended up doing to flow it, and nobody wanted to listen to me that this was a good idea, but it worked. But basically, what I had was all the systems went into the hangar and went up the wall, and I had these manifolds made up to where we could spin the 90 down and go to two fire hoses, and then run two fire hoses over to where they had those big drains in the floor. And I had another like manifold made up that uh, a fire hose on each end, and then I had a garden hose connection for our test, and then it went down into that trench with a 90 aiming, and the 90 could aim down where the drain line actually went to where it could dispose of all the foam and stuff. And we bolted it down, and so I had it to where we timed it to how long water would take to get from the valve to that test header. And they were afraid that I was going to blow up hoses, and I'm like, I'm not going to just trip it with I turned the water on slowly, left water run through it, so it's just water. Then I tripped the foam, waited enough time, tested it, and then cycled through it, and it worked really well. But everybody was convinced that stuff was going to blow up, and that. But I've done, and another one. I mean, most of the most complex ones have been around foam testing. I did we have the fast attack squadron for the West Coast attack squadron for the F-18s or whatever they are in Portland, and so they always have two fueled up, ready to go, where they can be in the air. And I think they get 3 minutes to get in the air if they get like a invasion attack. And there was I don't remember. It was one of the presidents, one of their planes. There was the president was coming into Seattle, and there was some sort of plane that wasn't responding within the air, and they made it from Portland to be at Seattle, and it was in like 7 minutes or something. It was right before we did it. They broke windows. Like, they get a kick out of it because they don't have to, all the normal rules of like being so high up and the sound barrier and stuff, that all goes out the window. But like working in there, because we had to do their hangars, and so they have four planes, or I think 5 planes, but they always have to have 2 of them ready to go. So they'd have the 2 ready to go, and they'd move the ones out of the other hangar, and you have to wait for them to move it, and then you could test that. And then they'd switch it. But when we were in the middle of, we were just getting in to start the test in the one, and they had told us if the alarm goes off, you get out that gate as fast as you can. Basically, if there's like all these rules, but something happened, and it was something stupid, but they couldn't. Like, we had to sit around for like 6 hours waiting, and then finally they're like, yeah, it's not happening today because something was wrong on one of the planes, and so they couldn't. It was this whole thing of they couldn't move the planes, because to move the planes just from one hangar to the next, they have to take all the missiles and all the armament off, move the plane, and then put all the armament back on. And so it was this whole big deal. That one, I guess, it wasn't so much the testing part of it. It was just everything around that had to be done to get to it.
Sounds like a complex place to
one-
work.
I mean, well, anything on a military base is super complex. And then what?
Did you have that where you had to go through security?
Yeah. So I did it was a secured area or secret area. So then they have secured and then secret, and we were down in the secret, and there was even alarms that were going off. And then I forgot what they said, like, you're in here in a whatever area, and then at the end of it, it says deadly force authorized.
Yeah.
I've been in one
So
of
we
those
had to
spots.
stay we had to stay with the guard at all times. If we went out, they'll shoot us.
Yep.
That's great. I worked at
So-
an Air Force base in Westover, and outside the buildings that we were working on, there was a thick red line, and it said on the other side of the line that deadly force authorized past this line.
Yep, that was the same thing with us. We could be the hangars, and yeah, there was a certain amount of distance around the hangar, but we couldn't leave, and we couldn't go from place to place without getting a hold of them, and then they would come and escort us from point A to point B. And yeah, done that too.
The
So that-
variables on that with times and everything is like, you really don't know what you're gonna get on a job of any kind, service, inspections in a military base. It could go bad quick. They just have you sitting around for hours.
That was the one we hung out at we hung out at the PX for like 6 hours while they were debating on whether they were going to let us do anything. And we had a big tanker truck because we were hauling all the foam to hazmat, and we were all just hanging out, just
Just
waiting.
hanging out. Did I tell you that little Bobby's an inspector now?
No,
Oh,
Yeah. Yeah, so he's got the van and he's moved into a
I'm proud of
an inspections role, and guess what building he's inspecting?
what Green.
He's directly in charge of that last hospital that I built and all the surrounding hospitals that connect to it. And so you guys talking about he's talking about how you got to flow foam at the 5 year, and I did that job was signed over I think in 21. So little Bobby's
Yeah,
gonna have to do a helipad foam test next year on my building, and I want some footage. I might take the day off and go. That's the
Yeah,
only
that'd be
foam
cool.
system I've ever installed and the only foam system I was ever able to set off. And I have some awesome videos of it, and it was pretty cool. And I'm part of the generation that we know there's PFSAs and we know the foam's not safe, and it was AFFF and it's right before it was discontinued, yada yada. But buddy from the foam company flew out there and he told me it's not toxic.
This is it.
What is it?
Strategic Weapons Facility, Atlantic, Kings Bay. It's where we house and maintain our nuclear weapons on the
Oh,
yeah,
Atlantic
oh,
side.
and they let you in?
Yeah, right. They actually messed up on my security and gave me too much. Like so I was able to go down to the docks. As long as the seals were not there and their fast attacks, I was able to go down there and I would go fishing every day after work.
you gotta
Dang,
have them in.
that's
Yeah.
pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I love
There's no
having the
one
full
else down
access. I had the we call it the God badge, but at the hospitals you'd have like the badge that would just get you anywhere because we'd be sometimes I'd be piping heads in the chemo labs, in the radiation, on the operating floors, throughout anywhere in the hospital. I would be doing this random stuff. They were always updating and upgrading and changing rooms and updating every room you can imagine. They're updating, and it's always just one room in the middle of the whole hospital, and you're doing like two sprinkler heads, and the electrician's got to put new lights, and Buddy's putting new paint, and there's a new floor, and all you guys are in there.
yeah,
Those are great.
yeah. I've done a bunch of that where you do a little bit of the hospital at a time.
A little bit at a time, and then they turn that spot over, and you get the next spot. This is
We,
fun. There's
but
6 trades in there.
one of the guys that he was one that retired, and I took his it was his service truck that I got when he retired. It was right before he retired, and he was working in a where we were working at a hospital, and this he had just a 5 gallon bucket, with a little tiny bit of sprinkler water in the bottom, and this really snotty nurse came over, and she was just like, I need to know what's in that bucket. What's in that bucket? I need to see the MSDS for what's in your bucket, because it smelled like sprinkler water. And she's just going off, and he goes, I don't have an MSDS for it, but it shouldn't be too hard to get one for H2O, and just turned around and walked off.
Oh, that's all.
I,
I've been in a situation like that where they were they asked me, if I was supposed to be taking apart the oil. You're supposed to be taking apart those oil lines when we're here. And I was just
yeah,
like, I chuckled. I'm like, it's not oil. This is sprinkler water. That's not water. I know what water smells like. Those are oil lines. You shouldn't be taking those apart. This is dangerous. I'm like, this is water, lady.
line.
yeah.
Yeah, oil
There was a
lines.
high tech place I worked at and I did a bunch of work there. And then I don't know, they decided, so the the tools for um, the like these benches, the benches and sinks were down underneath, like they're in the sub basement. Well, um, there was no like drains down there. Everything had to get pumped up, and you weren't supposed to put any water in anything. Well, the sprinkler systems themselves, when you drain the main drain, they went out on the ground, but but they were like, you couldn't dump water on the ground outside anywhere.
Yeah, yeah, that's so funny.
And so I was like, because they let me drain the system, and then I'd have these barrels or buckets of water that I had to drain out of the low points before I could do stuff. And there was this whole back and forth, and they wanted, because they have these ponds outside, and the ponds have fish, and they're actually like, the storm drains go to the ponds, and it's kind of, I mean, it looks pretty, but it also helps them know if they have any leaks. But if fish start dying, but they were like, just certain that we couldn't dump water on the ground. And I finally talked him into, I was like, because they wanted me to bring in trucks and like truck it all off site and everything. for just like little, one day jobs. And it's finally I was like, okay, look, if I take those barrels and I push it all the way around the building over to the exact same wet spot where I just drained the system, is that okay? Because otherwise, you guys are going to have to come up with something to where when we drain the system, we're going to have to contain it and all this. And so it was a pain in the ass. But yeah, we push the water all the way around the building, dump it in that wet spot, go back in.
That's crazy.
Wow.
Yeah, they think it's so toxic. I mean, it definitely has a smell to it, but you grow to like
Yeah.
that smell. What's up, FLS? Daryl, it wasn't coffee, bud. Daryl's on me tonight, bro. You're off the hook. In one of my stories today where I was having pizza, I was at the pizza shop with the guys. I posted having pizza with the guys. Daryl thinks that I was drinking a coffee with a lid on it. And so he's sending screenshots to my DMs and he's saying, "You're not supposed to have lids and it's a friggin' Pepsi and there's no lid. I don't drink coffee with pizza, Daryl." Damn Canadians. I'm curious what the sketchiest place Josh has had to inspect work go to for work in LGL Studios. What's up, dog? Thanks for joining.
The sketchiest.
That was a guest.
Oh.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a place not too far from here that's they make commercial grade hydrogen peroxide. So it's 99.9% pure hydrogen peroxide. That's all this, and that place, and there's definitely a lot of sketchy. They every year you got to float these. It's all deluge systems. Um, all the piping is deluge systems out on these tanks outside, and like inside the buildings doesn't really have anything. It's just like really, and then they're really paranoid about doing things right because I guess they got fined. JCI did spilled some foam there when they tested, and they got fined. I think it was $150,000 fine for like a few gallons, like just a little bit of foam on the ground.
Dang.
And so then they've been paranoid, like they don't want, like they want to do things right, but then they don't want to do things right. It's like they want to do things right until you tell them what it's going to take to do things right, and then it's like, whoa.
Well, can we do it? Well, you don't. The last guy. Well, isn't everybody Everyone's switching out the AFFF for something that's safer, isn't it?
They're working towards that, but
I know in Boston they were actively supposed to be pumping it out and not putting it back in.
Yeah,
And
they haven't done that yet, but I know here they've been like saying you need to work towards it, but they haven't actually enforced it.
And then the new foam is just we're not gonna know it's bad for us for 20 years, right? So just pretend it's bad.
That's right. Yeah, that's the thing. Is like yeah. It'll be 20 years from now, and then they're going to go, "Oh, that's worse than what we had in the first place." And
let's see.
well, and the thing is, like they were supposed to, they're way overdue for their 5-year, and I told like I have a pretty good system now for doing it. We just use because we used to be able to put it in the sanitary sewer, and now you have to take it to hazmat. But we just rent the big vacuum trucks, so it's a big semi with a vacuum on it, and flow right into the vacuum truck, and it contains it all, and then they can haul it off to hazmat, and it's because like with the spill they had before, it's kind of dumb. The drains go down into the ground, and the actual drain valves are actually down in these pits. Like, and they have a big giant swimming pool, basically, that all the chemicals go into, and then they can pump it out and stuff. And so that's where stuff goes. But if foam gets into there, then it blows around because it's open topped. But the way I do it with vacuum, we'd never have that problem because as you like, it's even the valves themselves are super easy to clean because once you shut the foam off and you run some water through there, you still have that vacuum going. You crack stuff and it just vacuums all the foam and crud and everything, and it's.
And then the foam truck goes to, you said hazmat, or that's where they tell you they're going?
They actually, yeah, it's like 4 hours away. So they used to have, there used to be a place that was local that they could dump it at. And then now with the new regulations, it's farther away where I know they have incinerators. So I don't know what they actually do with it, but I know the downside to it is your testing has to be done by like, I think it's like 10 o'clock or 11 o'clock in the morning, or you're going to have to pay for another day, or you might end up having to pay for another day because it'll be too late for them to get to
Oh,
the place. They only accept it to a certain time. So if they don't, then the truck has to sit for another day, and so. But most of the time, I always try to do the phone. I'll have everything ready before they're there, and so it's done.
right in the morning,
For,
sunrise.
yeah,
I've heard
yeah.
stories that allegedly them trucks they vacuum it all up, then it just goes into the harbor.
I'm sure there's places. The company that I deal with, I know that. I mean, I know them pretty well, and have dealt with them quite a bit. So, and they're actually, it's really not that expensive. I mean, those vacuum trucks are way cheaper than you'd think. I mean, the disposal rate, it depends, kind of, but the company itself, they're an environmental company anyway. So that, like, the ones I deal with, they do environmental cleanups and stuff anyway. So they're well versed. But
Yeah, they're ready
I
for it.
forget what it. Yeah, but their hourly rate isn't that much. Like, it's less than us.
Right.
Uh,
Yeah, probably similar.
we're a
I don't
bit.
know, any like a truck driver rate, or I mean,
Yeah,
what do they classify? Yeah, truck driver kind of rate or something.
driver rate plus the truck rental kind of thing. A fee for the truck, but then the truck driver. So it's not bad.
Right. Huh.
I forget what it.
Daryl says he's got a
It's
sucky job tomorrow. He's got to recharge a glycol system. I always hated. I did that a
Wow.
couple times where you had to drain it and capture it all, and then do the fix. Ruins your whole outfit, and then you got to pump all that old nasty stuff back in. We
Oh,
actually the job that I did, a big service job. It was in a huge, very nice. I think they were condos, but it's really just an apartment complex to me. And in the basement, the whole system was copper, exposed copper, and then once it transitioned through the floor, it turned to CPVC, and the glycol corroded all the copper. So we were there to change the copper. So we had everywhere. I think it went up in each condo. It went up in 3 locations, and we had to go cut the wall, see the transition, and we did it. We ended up doing it all in PVC.
Yeah. Well, a lot of times, especially because one of the problems when why you have to do premix now is because forever people would way too heavy of a concentrate,
Yeah,
and that's what would really kill the pipe, and yeah, and it leaks like crazy, and yeah,
they're
I've
kind of
done
they're doing away with it,
uh,
aren't they?
so they well sort of they so what they did was there was a few people that got killed because the glycol is flammable,
At high
and
concentrate.
so
like a
right.
flamethrower.
At high
So yeah,
concentrate, it's flammable.
correct. And so what happened was I know one lady was sitting on her deck. I think she had whatever, smoked cigarette, or she had one of those propane heaters, and the heater set the sprinkler head off, and just it was a big flamethrower on her until the water came. But I worked with people that I would watch them, you know, pump a bucket of glycol and then a bucket of water and then a bucket of glycol and a bucket of water and not mix it. And they're like, oh, it'll mix later. And
What?
or or like what we used to like on purpose, we'd mix it strong because the thought was, well, if it lasts a couple more years, because the labor's more expensive than it's not cheap, but the labor of us coming out here and doing it is expensive. So if we add an extra gallon to the system, then it's going to last you a few more years, not knowing at the time that it was flammable.
Or
And
corrosive.
so, yeah. And so what they did was they said you had to get rid of, or they were phasing them out or you had to get, and I can never remember. It was either listed or approved. Anyway, they finally have, there's two approved ones that are, Viking makes one and I forget who makes the other one.
Oh, actual
That
glycol you're talking about?
it's I don't know what it is. It's in an antifreeze that's approved for sprinkler systems. So it's not. I don't know. I don't think it's actually glycol. It's whatever. It's the new. What we're gonna find out kills us in 20 years, but it's better for now. And so you're supposed to, if you find an antifreeze system that doesn't have, it's supposed to have a certificate that with lot number and everything posted. And if you find one that doesn't have that, you're supposed to then recharge it with the right stuff.
I haven't put a
they weren't supposed
glycol loop in. You used to just do an antifreeze loop. I haven't built an antifreeze loop. Oh man, in like at least 15 years. I can remember the last one I built, like in probably 2010. I
I've
remember
taken
right where
more
it
out.
was.
well, because back when they were really popular, there wasn't dry system. There weren't dry valves, small dry valves. There wasn't. I mean, they had the 2.5 ones, but that was the smallest one. Um, and then dry systems have their own. So there were a lot of them that were put in like out here, especially because it's like, oh well, it's especially for smaller. So you go, oh, you just got a couple heads out here or whatever. Um, but I've seen huge ones in too. Uh, and we still have them, but yeah, they're it's mostly just servicing the old ones with the stuff. But I've done a lot of the recharging too.
Daryl says, "Is there a rule about glycol systems being too big and then you have to put them to a dry system?"
Yes,
Gotta be. I don't know.
there is, but yeah, and I forget what it is now. I forget what the actual gallons is, but it's not recommended to have them over a certain size.
Yeah, that's a lot. I mean, how are you gonna capture it if you ever had to go fix something?
It's
So
yeah.
many
I
barrels.
I know of some that are installed that are huge. They're well, I know of the mental hospital has ones that are what are they?
Oh, Tommy Howard has a
They're
mental hospital he goes to. He loves it there. They're gonna admit him soon. The system Daryl's doing tomorrow with the glycol he's recharging has got 40 heads on it. That seems like about max. That seems about max in Bobby's world, like about 40 heads and no more than that. 41 heads better be a dry system. Let's submit it to NFPA.
That's a big system with 40 heads.
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, for people who like glycol, you got to keep it alive. If you want to build them antifreeze loops.
All right, so after once you got done with being a fitter, what was the next spot for you? Were you a foreman, or did you go into inspections at that point?
Yeah, so I've been inspections and I worked for I don't know 12 years where I was basically the senior inspector, but just a foreman. And then yeah, and then I don't know 15 years ago or something. Then I got hired as basically a superintendent. It was over inspection. I mean, we just did service and inspections, but um,
Okay.
yeah, and then moved into a service and inspection manager, and then yeah,
I wish
How
I could.
was
I
that
like service.
managing?
I like doing just service.
yeah.
I didn't like the inspections.
How was that managing the inspectors?
Um, a lot of the problem was the company was set up really stupid. We started getting managers that when we had managers that came from the field, it was a lot better. And then when they started hiring managers that you know graduated from West Point or had been elevator salesmen beforehand, or that didn't have any knowledge of life safety, that got worse. But also just trying to realizing how difficult it is to find people that are truly good at the service and inspection side.
Oh, definitely.
There's a lot of people that will do it, but a lot of people that either think of it as easy because they don't care, so they just kind of it's like whatever's easiest, or you know and we struggled like when I was at Siemens, we had struggled because our alarm guy. There were a lot of alarm people that like to work until noon and then go do paperwork at home and golf and
Right.
the bar or whatever, and trying to keep guys and like get them to understand, no, that's them. They can do whatever they do, but we're
Right.
we
So
don't
did
need.
you make you guys work the full 8 even if they were done, or did you let them go home as long as it's like after? So I had it for the most part. I had now different guys had different rules, but I would sit down with my manager and be like, "Listen, I'll do my job. I'm very efficient. If it's 2 o'clock or before 2 o'clock, I'll call you. If anybody needs any help or anything like that, if it's after 3, I'm going home." And he's
Well,
like, "Okay."
so I was more like, I mean, it depends on what's going on. Um,
Yeah, if I need to help someone, I'll go help them.
Is the
You
job
well,
know?
and
done?
that's right. Yeah, I don't. I'm not a big fan of the. Like the last minute, like, oh well, let's try to get this done or do part of this if it's not going to make it efficient. Because sometimes I've seen time get wasted trying to think they're more efficient by starting something, but also like I think that a lot of times, yeah, if you have if you get done early, your time is actually better spent like prepping your stuff for the next day or um, learning. So, like what I used to try and drill into guys is, if you've got extra time, why don't you look up some of the codes that some of those things that you're not remembering or something. Spend some time where yeah, you may not be on a job, but you are, you're bettering yourself and that's helping the company out
Crack
where
the
you're,
book.
yeah,
Crack the
do a
book
little,
open.
yeah. And like actually I saw a post on Facebook where somebody said something about it, but I've been pushing people to use the NFPA 25 handbook for
Oh, it's awesome. I have
months.
one behind me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I actually took my boss's, when I first found out that there was one and he had it and I was like looking through it and I was like, well, holy, like this is, I, I don't know why you wouldn't.
That's my
Um, Although I did, and I'm trying to remember what it was. I took an NFPA 25 class and I found out that it's not the same people that write the handbook as write the codes. And they don't always, the handbook doesn't actually always meet what they intended when they wrote the code. And I'm trying to remember what it was. But there was something that came up in the class, and the guy that was teaching the class was actually on the NFPA 25 committee, and his answer wasn't what was in the handbook, and I was like, that's not right. And so there was this whole thing, and he was supposed to get back to me, and he never did. But um, I'm sure I'll think of it. But
Yeah, let us know
but
who
I do
that
think the
was. We'll reach out. We'll make sure he gets back to you.
yeah, uh, it was yeah. He's I have his card somewhere. He works for it's one of the big giant insurance companies. It's not FM Global. It's like there's another one that's like that size though. Um, but I do think people need to read the handbooks and read the explanations and but yeah, that's one of those things of trying to tell people uh, I always drove me nuts too where guys would show up that day and oh well now what do I need to get together for today instead of looking the day before at what they
yeah,
might
for sure. Yeah, and prepare. Yeah,
yeah.
that was taught to me very early.
Yeah. Maybe on your way home, maybe it's better to pick up stuff on your way home and you can then you're not going out of your way in the morning or whatever, depending on the time, but
It's
um,
always better to stop on the way home.
yeah.
Always. I always love that
100%.
bet. Way
Always.
better. But I always did. I always would stop for stock on the way home for sure, so I didn't have to get it in the morning. But I would never get gas on the way home. I always would save that for the morning. I don't know why. It's like my toxic trait.
Well, I started that because the with the gas station by my house, if you'd get free coffee with a fill up.
Oh, okay. I like that.
So I get gas in the morning and get my coffee.
I had a favorite gas station that when I go home, I don't go that way. And so on my
Yeah.
way to work to get to the highway, I go by the mobile that I like to stop at. So I would always just, sometimes I'd be stretching it. Like that thing would be like low fuel on my way home. I'm like, oh boy, I'm not stopping.
And I've forgotten about it, and then when I'm warming my truck up, like, oh,
Oh,
luckily it's all downhill to the gas station.
yeah.
Not me. Anything. I never let it get past in any of my vehicles a quarter tank. Never. Like my quarter tank is my E.
So
You're so responsible, Bry.
when I was younger, that's the way I was, and I don't know what it is, but until maybe 15 years ago, that's the way I was.
Yo, Pledge,
And yeah,
Pledge. I got a mission
Yep.
for you real quick. I need a
Gotcha.
picture. I need a picture of your father's low fuel light on next time you see it. All right?
Got it.
Thank you.
You'll never find it.
Yeah, well, we're gonna
Oh,
see. If he finds
My
it,
truck is
I'm
filled
putting it on
up
my
and
story, and everyone's gonna know.
filled up. Everybody's filled up.
it's a mission. I'll be watching it like a hot.
And, and today,
It
just
just
so
went
you
on.
know, when I put gas in the car,
Yeah.
it was at a quarter tank.
So
He's so
responsible.
proud of you.
Swear.
He's so proud of himself.
Swear.
I got like 40 miles when that light comes on.
Huh?
I got like 40
Oh,
more miles when that low light comes
no, I
on.
freaked out. Yeah, my wife, geez, when I'm gone from vacation, I come back, the thing is dead E. I get in it, I'm like, what? Like
They,
she didn't get gas the entire time I was gone.
they don't have people that could pump like uh,
Uh-uh.
you can drive up and they pump it for you?
No.
Oh.
You have that up there?
Well, I pump my own gas, but my wife, if she gets gas, she goes and there's like we have a couple gas stations where there's I forget what it's called. There's a word for it.
I don't know.
An
That might be
attendant, there's
good.
like a gas attendant. You pull up, it's like the fuel's like I don't know, 5 cents
Yeah,
more,
they
and you
do
tip the guy.
that in Central and Latin America.
And in New Jersey,
They,
if you go to New Jersey, you can't pump gas. So I always make sure when I'm going north or south, I get gas before or after, because
they make you turn your car off?
no, they like you got to give them your card and your password and everything. I'm not into it. Get out of the way, bud. I pump my own gas. I'm from Massachusetts. Those New Jersey
Really?
people, they don't. Yeah, you can't pump your gas in New Jersey. It's against the law. There's someone there to do it for you. And then he's like,
Well,
he's 5 cars over helping somebody else when your thing clicked, your thing's all done. You're like, hey, bud, I'm trying to get out of here. What are you doing?
Oregon was that way until like a year ago or something. Year and a half ago.
Really? So you've dealt with that forever?
Forever, yeah. But see, so like I, yeah. That's one of the things I liked about the gas station that was they would just kind of because if you have a card lock, you can do it. And so for years I had a card lock, and I was so used to it. And then I started going here when I switched to a credit card, and they just let me. So I would, and my thing was like, if they were somebody right there, because it's a small one anyway. So if somebody's right there, then I'd let them do it. But if they weren't there, then I would go ahead and do it. Um, but yeah.
I like that idea. I jumped out in New Jersey not knowing my first time, and they were like, whoa, whoa, whoa. I'm like, whoa, whoa.
Well, and diesel, like my personal truck's diesel, and so diesel you could do yourself. Um, and now I got a card lock again. But yeah, you can do it yourself. And it's funny because there's a lot of people like my wife doesn't like doing it; she hates doing it.
What is card
And
lock? What
she
do you mean card lock? You keep saying that.
so if you can do it yourself, where it's a card at an unattended station where you just have a card like Pacific Pride. I don't know, have that, but the yeah, it's unattended gas stations where you just have a card and an account.
Oh, okay. That's pretty cool.
But yeah, I
Florencio
just
says they do that in Mexico.
Really?
Transit van parked on a hill below a quarter tank will smoke a fuel pump. I can confirm. What? Brian and his son arm wrestle. Who's winning? Well, I could give Pledge a couple tricks. Right when the old man starts to take you down, right? You just poke him right in his eye. Boom! With your other hand.
You want to try?
You want to try? Don't get two
You
eyes.
know,
Don't get two eyes. Just get one. He's got to be able to see tomorrow. He's got work to do.
Yeah. Yeah, paper stuff.
Yeah, I need food.
All right, so
Getting all that
we got
music.
10 minutes, and I know we love talking to you, Josh.
yeah.
At what point were you like, okay, I'm gonna do this myself. I'm gonna start a company. And what were some of the thoughts that were going through your mind? Because it's not something that's easy. I mean, it's pretty scary, right?
Yeah. I don't know. People have been bugging me for years, and the company I was at, they did some reorganization, and I just was like, I didn't want to go to another company really. I just decided that I knew enough. I also knew enough from my job there because I basically been doing everything for myself other than the actual sending the bills out, but I was making the bill, I was doing all the sales, all of the quoting, everything. So I've done every piece of it really, other than that one. So I felt like I finally was to a point where I, where I felt I could do it, and I just didn't really want to start going, go to another new company again and have to deal with all that. So I just kind of felt it was time.
Pulled the trigger.
So what was your first step? Were you the only employee doing sales, service, inspections, everything, or did you hire or bring
Yeah,
in partners?
no, just me. I basically, while I was still debating whether I was going to, um, because we have to do the construction contractor board license here, and so I did the steps for that just to see, and I kind of just started doing some steps to see at the same time as looking to see if I wanted to go somewhere else. And I figured, well, if I find a company, the right fit before everything falls in place, I'll do that, and if not, then I'll. And yeah, but yeah, just started by doing everything myself, and uh, like I said, I have you know uh, options of other people that can help out, and I've got some back and forth with like a couple other companies as far as they've
Yeah,
subcontracted me, and then if I needed to, I could do the same thing to help get something done. But yeah,
that's good. And what are you already on a CRM, or are you kind of doing the as far as like software and stuff? Did you pick a software company yet, or
I've been Amber.
okay?
I've been actually dealing with them before uh, when at the last company, and
Okay, before their rebranding and all.
yeah, so I hadn't actually gotten it, but I'd been kind of working with them on like the what it was like and stuff, and so uh, and trying to get because I hated what we were using. I hated.
Right.
we
Yeah, I really like what they do, and I think they're the only one with a true compliance engine integration in their
Yeah,
software.
yep,
So that's so nice to have. Is it compliance engine's a pain in the butt.
yeah. Well, yeah, and especially it's I know compliance engine's one of those things I like that it gets us work. I mean, because it's definitely gotten us work from since they've um, as jurisdictions have started going to them because they're
Right.
if something's written up, but it is a pain to deal with all the stuff and make sure that you have all the stuff that they want entered correctly. And I've dealt with having people enter stuff that they don't know what they're doing, and it's like those the last couple companies. It's like the people that were entering the stuff into compliance engine didn't know anything about what we were doing, so then there's all these back and forth, and they think that there wasn't something there, and they need asking questions, and then realize, oh, it was on a different line than they realized, and stuff would get so messed up. So this way
Right.
the integration definitely is nice.
So how
Yo,
many
Landon,
you
who's
doing it?
soggy? Who's soggy, Landon? Mr. Soggy?
What?
Mr. Soggy's asking if
It's,
we're Sigmas. What the hell's a Sigmas?
uh,
It's
Well, he
Alpha.
asked last time.
I don't know. He's a
You
weird
do
dude.
know.
He's a weird dude.
This is Alpha. I don't know what you Sigmas. This is Alphas. What's
Yeah.
good,
Should I
chat? Lock
name drop?
in. Brian, are you a
Uh,
Sigma?
I don't know what that is.
It's Mike. That's Michael. It's
Who-
not really anything.
Like
I'm the
just
chat
Zowski.
moderator here, Soggy.
Weird way to say you're him.
Skibbity Ohio.
Oh,
Yeah, he just said stupid
You
stuff.
younger guys making up some weird stuff.
No, it's just him.
Oh, Josh, that was another hour.
yeah.
Goes by crazy.
You believe that?
Let's give away a fire tech course.
Okay.
You got a question?
No, I got no question.
What's the
No, ask
definition
a
of
question.
Sigma?
Next question.
Yeah,
Oh,
find something in the
Son,
get a couple minutes.
on page 255,
no, don't tell them the page. They all
section
have that book.
it's word.
Florencio, you need a job, Florencio? Yeah, we're hiring. I'm always hiring. You want a job? Let's get on a Zoom Monday. Monday, 9 a.m. Whoever wants a job, get on a Zoom. May or may not. Maybe deal or no deal.
Here, let's go to a table.
But I was looking at
Wants a
wait.
traveling job? Come on.
Yeah.
Fitters, foreman, apprentices.
Yeah.
I'll
All right.
interview you.
Yeah, what we
Frequency.
got?
Go to a frequency, and then just
The heck with
say,
the frequency.
Jesus.
See, he wants me to get here, but he don't teach me the stuff.
All right, look. See,
I like to
fastest
just
one.
I like to tell the chat to spell my name one letter at a time. That's my favorite game.
Is getting testing. So pick one of
And then
those.
they all just go crazy with the B's and the O's.
Go after that one.
Oh, yo, don't be calling Landon when he's on the show. He's busy right now. You can talk to him after. You
All
got
right,
3
I
minutes.
got
you can call him.
one.
All right, hurry up.
What sprinklers need to be tested or replaced at 75 years and every 5 years thereafter?
Don't answer, Josh.
Don't answer, Josh. Is
Twisted
Josh the
Journey.
one that got like?
Twisted Journey says Josh is an awesome guest. Another great show, guys. Yo, Twisted Journeys, thank you.
Who is that one guy y'all had on that got like won it 5 times in a row?
Oh, Flo. Flo always wins it.
Flo's always watching. It's
He
like
hasn't
it's
taken
like
a single
it's like
one,
the
though.
it's like the lottery. Like you can't people everyone wants to win the lottery, but they don't play. You know what I mean? You gotta play to win.
All right, we have any answers come in?
I mean, there's like a 30-second delay in the chat. I feel like you just asked it 20 seconds ago. Give them a minute. Ask it again. Maybe they didn't hear you.
All right. At 75 years and every 5 years thereafter, what sprinkler has to be changed?
Replaced
Oh.
or tested?
I thought he was gonna accidentally give us the answer right there.
No, I'm better than that.
This is the answer.
I'm better than that. Mostly because I don't know what is the answer. Oh, I know
No,
that.
no, you win a
Yeah.
you win a fire tech course, Soggy. That you have to complete, and if you don't complete it, I'm gonna come to your house and take it back.
So the items, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Collection.
No, I know which
like
one it is.
visually test is actually you physically
We
touch it.
we're
yeah.
partners / sponsors with Fire Tech, so we're able to give away a course every show.
This is an easy question.
Easy question.
Super
Easy
easy.
question.
Everybody's either Googling it or what. Guys, we're giving away a Fire Tech course. If you'd like to win it, we're asking, Brian's asking.
I don't know if Google will show that. That's a pretty. What the
It will.
comments?
If you know how to ask it right, the AI will.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
I'm actually.
I'm gonna type it in the chat.
Put it in the chat.
You type it, Brian. Brian, you growing the hair out again?
Yeah,
Why? Sarah likes it?
but I got a new barber. It's gonna be better. Last one, that barber sucked.
I don't
That's
know,
what he
kid.
always
I
says.
like it high and tight. I don't like that long wavy thing.
That's what I got.
Flo says standard spray.
Nah.
I think Sarah keeps convincing you to do the long hair. Because she knows you look better with the short hair, and she doesn't want you out there, like, looking good and shit.
That's possible. That's
Okay.
a real thing.
I know it is.
Yeah, like, I mean, when I first got married, I gained like 20 pounds. I was like, hey, listen, babe, like, you gotta chill.
She's like, yeah, grow your hair out. Eat this. Eat
Hey,
all this. Eat all this. Grow your hair out.
Here, here. You want some Twizzlers? You know?
Yo, kid, high and tight. Bring it back. What are you doing? No? My bad. You keep it. You keep those locks of love, kid. You keep those locks of love. I don't think anybody wants it.
All right, 10 o'clock. I got the answer. It's all of them. Every head.
Boom. Gosh. You guys totally missed that one. What a fluke. Come on,
NFPA.
Flo.
Little guns.
All right. Here, I'll put in the page number.
Yeah, someone did say, is big
Page
guns or little
number.
guns going to talk?
Yeah, you saw that? I just saw that.
What?
I don't know. If
Josh was telling a great story, and you two were both just fucking sitting there like stone statues, not blinking, not moving, both looking exactly the same. And someone said, "Is big guns or little guns gonna talk?"
I'm here to learn. I don't know nothing about this.
It was pretty funny. It was pretty funny. Josh, we appreciate you. Good stories.
Yeah.
Good talk.
Yeah.
We're gonna continue to bother you. You're stuck with us now, so.
Yeah. We're gonna keep
Yeah.
bringing you on.
They like you too much.
Get great stories.
Not a problem.
If you ever need anything from us, you call us. Hit us up anytime.
Sounds
We're
good.
here. Everybody, thank you for watching. Hit the like button for me, please, if you could. And tomorrow on the job, it's Friday. Just whoever you're working with, make sure they open up their YouTube and then they subscribe. It's your responsibility for tomorrow. There's 10 of you guys watching. Oh, now 8.
Yeah. Please help us.
Make everybody subscribe. Come on. Let's go. We're looking for 2,000 subscribers. We're at the road to 1,500 was long, and we want the road
I
to
say
2.
2,000. We do a huge giveaway.
What do we want? Let them decide what we
Oof.
want to give away.
Yeah.
You guys let's talk about it in the next show, what the giveaway should be for 2,000 subscribers. And that's it. Thank you for watching. Biggest fire protection show in the world.
Thanks, Josh.
Thank you.